In today's episode of Brooks, we're going to break down what it's like to live two different lives. Musa and I are brothers, and we've been immigrated to a different country at a young age. Even though Musa and I lived the exact same situation, it affected us in a completely different way. And we never really talked about it before, so in this conversation, we really broke it down. Now, before we jump to the episode, I want to ask you a quick favor. Every episode we try our best to improve and bring topics that you would be interested in. So what I would like to ask is your support. By the most simple way you can support us for free is subscribing. But enough talking, bring your popcorns and let's get started. Alright, so Musa, I was really excited to talk to you about today's topic because you're one of those people that actually lived two lives. If we can consider it that, but if we think about it, it truly is because you lived in two different countries at a young age and it is two completely different culture, two environment, two languages, so we can't really consider it two lives. And what I'm really curious about, if we go back a little in time, let's imagine this. You're 12 years old, you go to school, you get home one day, and your mom tell you the fact that we're moving countries. How did that impact you in that time? What are the things that went you through your mind?
Yeah, brother, I'm really excited to talk to you about this topic as well today, because I think that a lot of people can relate to this whole journey that we are going to share with the people today. I really consider myself from the few lucky people that can talk two languages from birth, because let's face it, it's a blessing in disguise. Like when we were young, I don't know if you remember, every time we went out and played, let's say, basketball with the boys or football with the boys, and we were on the same team, we had we had the advantage of talking in a different language that nobody else understood. So we had basically a life-changing, not life-changing, but at that moment, advantage. A life-changing advantage at a kid's level.
That's right.
So yeah, I consider myself really lucky that we're talking two languages at the same time from birth. And the third language is English. So it's not perfect yet, but we're improving.
That's right.
So yeah, let's get back to the topic. You asked me a very specific question. What went through my head when I knew the news that we are moving from country to country? In my early 14s, I was in my most heated rebelling phase against my parents. So every time they told me something to do, I went and did the opposite thing. And when they came and told me these news that we are moving from country to country, and I had to leave behind my friend zone, my school, everything that I loved, that I built to that time. It came to me like a shock. And I wasn't accepting the fact that we are moving. Even right now, like, it's hard to understand how I went through that whole phase. I was rebelling so much that I remember correctly, I didn't talk to my father for like half a year straight.
Wow, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was a phase that I'm not proud of, but it's a rebelling phase.
Right.
I wasn't aware of it, or even if I was aware of it, I was doing it intentionally.
Cool.
Yeah. So I was a very bad rebel, if I remember correctly. So, a little story. When I was 14, I went to high school here, and I really loved the high school vibes in Europe. Like, I did watch several movies, and was excited about going to high school a new environment and new friends and meeting new things, like learning new things about life in general. Like when you moved from primary school to high school, it's a whole different change in everything basically. And I was so excited about this period of my life that's going to come finally. And when my mother came to me and told me this news, she basically broke down my whole vision in front of me, and I entered not even a
locked in.
Yeah, I would say I was kind of depressed, but not depressed at the same time, because let's be honest, a 14-year-old can't be really depressed.
You can?
I don't think so.
Close-minded.
Close-minded, yeah. So basically, that's how I felt. Like a shock came to me and destroyed my whole future that I built for myself. Yeah, so I don't know if you want to know anything more specific about this topic. If you want, ask away.
Wow, I mean, I've been through the same thing, but hearing it from your sound, it feels like a completely different story, because even though we had similar stories, we were living in the same household, it's passed through our self in a different way. And hearing it from your perspective, I truly feel like I'm sitting here and listening to a story that I haven't heard of, even though I lived in it. So this is completely weird feeling. Because as you said, you didn't talk to our father for half a year. I don't remember that completely, and it is like, wow. But I remember that when you were in high school, you started to build up this persona of having friends, girlfriends, and you shouldn't have been having girlfriends, and all that phase in your life, which was new to you. And of course, it felt good. I remember that you were having maybe your best time in life at that point. So coming to this shocking news, I know that there was a lot of hard situation you faced. What I want to know is if there is a specific thing which come to your mind which really stand out. What was the hardest thing about kind of accepting the new life and moving on forwards?
Well, to this specific topic, I really don't remember as well as I should be, because it's a life-changing matter. It was a life-changing matter in my life. I should remember way better than this. But briefly, so the most impacting thing that changed at that period of my life was the school changes, the environment. Like I was torn out from my environment that I was used to, and basically they dropped me in an entirely new area, an entirely new. Like everything was new for me. Basically, school. School for me was really difficult there, because even though I was speaking Arabic, I wasn't able to read or write. And it was so hard for me to learn everything from scratch at the age of 13. I was in high school. 14, sorry. At the age of 14, it was so hard for me to learn basically a completely new language. And Arabic isn't an easy language to learn. Especially their writing, because they write and read from right to left, not from left to right.
That's right.
So it was so hard to learn. So that was a very like hard change that till today I'm not really used to it. Like till today, if you give me a pen and tell me to write something in Arabic, I will write it down, but I will struggle a bit with it. Like till today, I haven't used that lifestyle. So I don't know if I answered your question with this. What was your question again? Can you remind me?
You kind of did already answer me, because my question was, what was the hardest thing that you went through? Yeah. It's basically, as you said, leaving everything behind and kind of starting a new chapter in life, which for sure is difficult. There is a lot of stress you went through. There's a lot of emotions came to you. As you said, you didn't talk to our father for half a year. So there was a lot of things burning inside you, the emotions. What I want to know is how you managed to deal with those emotions in that time. It might be wrong, it might be right, but how did you go through that phase of life, which was a burning emotions inside you?
Well, with my family, I entered a silence treatment method. I was rebelling in a silencing way. Like, I haven't communicated with our parents. You were there. I don't know if you remember. You were a little boy. Okay. You were 12 at that time. Yeah. So I was treating my family, my mother and father, with the silence treatment. I wasn't really communicating about anything to them. I was failing school at that time. I wasn't communicating about that as well. I had trouble fitting in school because it was a completely new environment, not only because I had to learn Arabic, but because the schools there only had boys' schools and girls' school. And in Europe, in Budapest, it wasn't like that. So it was a completely new thing to me as well to get used to. And it was very hard to get used to it. Like, I went through a good period of time in school. I remember like 4 months, like a whole semester I went through in school without talking to anyone there. Basically, I wasn't making new friends. I wasn't comfortable making new friends there. Like, I still didn't accept the fact that we already moved from Budapest to Jordan. And this period of my life was kind of hard. And it made me enter a phase of silence. The old Musa disappeared. And new, grumpy, don't want to talk to nobody, boring, I don't know what else to tell you about that Musa there. Like, he was a completely different person. I drowned myself in my thoughts and didn't talk to anyone about what I was feeling back then. That's it.
Wow, that's so powerful. Because now we are kind of acknowledging that silent phase. How did it happen? Because you were silent within you, which affected you in a way that, as you said, you became boring, you couldn't fit in. All this, you're trying to live in the past, basically. Try to bring back those memories, the Hungary, the Budapest. You're still in there. If not physically, mentally. And not talking to anyone about it made you feel even lower position. Which just, I have this feeling within me that everything like kind of clicking. Because you were not that quiet with me. Like, when we were home, we were always playing, we had fun. But I was always the energetic kid. And I always had fights. And I'm like, my brother never really had a fight. For the teacher never really called my father because my brother was bad. I was always the bad kid, doing the wrong thing. And I'm like, now everything is clicking like, okay, we are the quiet kid. And this really sticked through the years within you. It kind of built your new persona. You just locked yourself in and you didn't want to talk to anyone about it. And it is just so powerful for anyone who's young and facing those emotions, just to talk about it. Because when you lock it in deep inside you, it's going to affect not yourself only now, but yourself in the future as well. Coming back to the Arabic topic, it was really hard for me as well, because I know we speak the language, but we couldn't write, we couldn't read. It was very difficult to fit in, especially in the beginning. But as time passed by, we slowly progressed. And how I remember that you picked up smoking on a very young age. And I give you a round of applause, because even though I knew everything about you, I didn't know that you've been smoking for 2 years straight. Then I came to the realization, and I went ahead straight to my mom. Mom, Musa smoking. I snitched to everyone. Yeah, we were kids. But even I knew everything about you. I didn't know that you've been smoking for 2 years. Can you walk me through that phase? Was that connected all to old Musa, the Hungarian Musa, or the new Musa trying to adopt his feelings and emotion and putting it in somewhere that he's trying to give it out, let it out?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I was in a rebelling phase. This rebelling phase started at the year of 13. Yeah, the beginning of 14. Maybe, yeah, and that was the period of time when I started smoking. Basically, yeah, I went my first period of high school, like my first semester of high school, was here in Budapest, and I got into a friend group. Let's say that we are all the same, like rebelling bad kids. Like no one can tell us nothing. We do what we want, and basically, and that environment led me to get into this bad habit of smoking. So I picked up smoking in Hungary before we moved to Jordan. Yeah, and that is something. That's why you don't know about. That is something I wasn't proud of doing. I was like doing it in, like, I was 14 years old, who's smoking. Like, who's gonna accept that? I was hiding it from everyone because I was afraid of our parents' reaction to that. So what are they going to do? They will abandon me? I don't know. Like our father, our father, he had a mindset of like a great disciplinary mindset. Like the OG disciplinary mindset. Our father had that. So I was afraid of him to know about that I was smoking. So I hid it from you as well. It wasn't intentional, but as you said, you were snitching a lot at that period of time. So I had no choice but to hide it from you. So yeah, that thankfully I'm kind of getting out of this smoking. Like, for how much? 3 weeks now? I hadn't put a cigarette in my mouth.
That's right. Progress is progressing.
Progress is progressing. So yeah, I've gone by 3 weeks now without smoking anything.
After how long?
After, like, now I'm 27 years old. I will be 27 years old in 2 months.
13 years.
For 13 years straight, I was smoking every day without cutting a day. And now all of a sudden, in the day and the night, I decided, with your help, I decided that I should quit smoking. It's a new chapter in life. It's an improving chapter of our life. So we should improve in every aspect of it. Basically, that's it. That's a whole different topic. It's not for today's podcast.
You're right. It is a different story, which I'm telling you, I'm super proud of you. Because to take the step is not easy. And not a small step. Because the step that you did, you kind of throwed yourself from the mountain. And you're still figuring out life, as I am. As we do in this podcast. This is why we decided to do all these conversations. So we understand not just each other more, but ourselves and our environment. So I'm really grateful that we started this and we're progressing day by day and getting better, not only in life, but with each other as well. Getting better at communication, conversation, in every aspect of life. Getting better physically, mentally, just being better. So I'm super proud of you for that. It is a very big step and we are only here getting better, inshallah.
Today's video is sponsored by Ultrahuman. They have created this smart ring that helps you to track your sleep, your recovery, and your metabolism in real time. Since I use it, it's more easy for me to track my performance without getting distracted. Because there is no screen on it, so it only gives you the insight that you're looking for. So if you're serious about optimizing your sleep, your recovery, and your energy time during the day, this is really a game changer. Additionally, in my opinion, it looks really cool. So if it sounds something that you would like to get for yourself or for someone that you know, then there's an affiliate link in the description which will give you an additional 10% discount code. It will also help grow this channel. But let's go back to the episode.
So my next question to you about all this. You're in Jordan. Cool. Trying to fit in, finding your place, meeting new people. Was there a specific moment in that journey, or was it like just a whole, where you really felt standing out to you, it is in your eye, bothering you, that you felt out of place?
So I don't know if it's a coincidence that you mentioned this, but it was the whole Jordanian phase, like a good 3 years after we moved there. I was felt that I wasn't in my place. I wasn't fitting in. I didn't even want to fit in. And because of that, I didn't try to fit in. Even though I built like a small friend group of mine. Well, let's face it, a 14-year-old, 15 at that time maybe, a 15-year-old boy should have friends. And with those friends, like, I wasn't the smartest about choosing my friends, because this group of friends was kind of the same that I had in Hungary, in Budapest. The smoking, the rebelling, the nobody can tell us what to do group of friends. And at that time it felt good, because I wasn't resonating with our family, because, well, there was a reason behind us moving to Jordan, and I wasn't able to like get this information. All I've seen is I was forced to move from Hungary to Jordan. At that time, I felt like everything should be around me. And that led me to this feeling that my father is forcing me against my will to stay in Jordan. And that wasn't the case. There was a whole other reason to that. And I was shut down. I didn't even want to know this information. Like for a good 2 years, I didn't even know why we moved from Budapest to Jordan. Until after 2 years that I went and asked my mother that why did we move at the first place? We had a greater life in Budapest. Why did we make this choice of moving? That's another topic as well. There wasn't a specific moment that led me to feel this way, that I wasn't fitting in. The whole journey, the whole moving phase, the whole ripping out of Budapest and dropping in Jordan was in a hole that I wasn't resonating with. I couldn't get used to this for a very long time. And yeah, this led to certain things inside me, inside my head. Like I changed dramatically in this period of time, like from 14 to 17, 18. I had a very long puberty time. Like till 18 years old, I had this mindset of no one can tell me what to do. I was annoying as fuck. Let's face it, I was annoying.
You still are, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. Good one. Yeah, so I was annoying. And yeah, so I don't remember if there was anything specific that led to this. Yeah, the whole situation itself.
Yeah, I can remember that feeling when you had that. You felt that you've been ripped off from your ground and being placed in a different environment, different country, different language. Everything was different. School system, only boys. It is different. And I do remember that what you gone through also affected me in a way that I was starting to feel that way as well. For me, because I was swimming as well, I had to be placed in a completely different place. Also, the same way. But for me, the main factor was swimming. Swimming coaches were not the best there comparing to here. And I really felt the change. But I think in my case it was easier because I'm always open-headed. I just jump and figure out things along the way. I didn't really shut down. What made you shut down, I think, is that you couldn't talk to anyone, that you didn't resonate with. As you said, you were really hard-minded. Yeah. And you just shut down about it. And yeah. What I want to know, if you can hold younger Musa right now, here, and talk to him, what would you tell him before the move happened?
So, it's a very powerful thing to do. Like, if I had the ability to go back in time and give an advice to my younger self, it would be very simple. Keep your mind open to the advices you get. Because at that time, I was shut down completely from the advices that I got. Be it anybody, my uncle, my father, my mother, like everybody that I should have been looking up to and getting advices from, I was shutting them out completely. In my head, that rebelling phase was so strong that I couldn't stand someone giving me advice about anything. So that's it. If I had the ability to go back in time and tell my younger self something, make use of every advice you get in life. That's it.
Wow. That's a very good advice. Because if you think about it, it will affect the whole situation. You would be more open about the situation that you move. You will try to understand. As you said, you didn't know why this change happened back then, and you didn't want to understand as well.
Because I wasn't open about it.
You were not open about it. But when you taking the advice, or not even advice, but trying to understand the situation in a way, this is so powerful. Yeah. I believe it would have made your childhood way easier. You could have fit in, even though you cannot change it right now, and you became the person you are now because of the things that you've been through. So I don't think that you should really change anything about it. If you would have changed it, then there would be another person sitting here in front of me with. And as we said, it is a journey. Some people realize it first, some people realize it later, some people never realize it, which is the hard and the sad part about it. So I really like this advice. I feel like it would have changed lives, your life in this case. But for anyone who's going through that teenager life, that hard-minded, feel that he knows everything, thinks that he knows everything, I'm telling you, you know nothing. Not you, I mean you. I mean for the person.
Yes.
I were a teenager. I felt that I know everything. I felt that you cannot tell me what to do. I already know it. You think you do. You know nothing. Life is going to kick you in the butt, and you will understand it in the hard way.
Yeah. Remember how many times and how many people told us exactly the same words that you just told the listeners. Like everyone around us told us the same exact words. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, as we say, life is circling around. When we will have kids in the future, we will face the struggles that our parents faced. It is just not a never-ending circle, because we're kind of making changes now. So, the future of our children, even though our parents made sacrifices, the sacrifices they did, that they moved to the whole country, even though it made our situation worse, this is a sacrifice they made for the sake of our future. Even though we didn't understand it back then, we didn't have to understand it. And it's just this cycle, like, you tell the young version of yourself that I wish I would have listened, but back then you're like, you cannot tell me what to do, I know already what I need.
Exactly.
This is the stupidness of it. And to be open about it is really the power of accepting in new information, accepting in new journeys, new chapters of life. We could have thought about this whole process as, oh my God, it is a new chapter. I would have a lot of millions of stories to talk about when I grow up, because this happened to me. It is just a mindset shift. It will make the whole situation way easier, way better to fit in. It will be more enjoyable. So, what is something that you appreciate right now that you didn't back then? What is something that you appreciate right now that you didn't back then? So something that you say that, oh, thankfully it happened like that. But when the time was there, you were like, what happened? Like, why is this? I'm bothered. I'm annoyed. This is the question.
This is a very powerful question. Like, I can't think of a straight answer to this out of the blue. Maybe the most relating thing to your question might be the whole moving process from Budapest to Jordan to Amman, because at that time I didn't really know the benefits that we are going to have by moving there, and like everything related to that decision that our father made at that time, it makes a lot of sense right now thinking back. At that time it was like just, no, I'm not accepting this. I'm looking out every other possibility. It sucks here in Jordan. It, like, I wasn't even aware of anything that was happening around me. I was shutting out the outer world to that extent. So yeah, the whole moving process, I appreciate it a lot.
The moving process. What is something that you realized now as an old Musa, thinking back, the major factor why the change happened?
The whole moving process, thinking back from now, that why our father kind of forced us, not even forced, but it was a hard decision for him as well to make, because he had a great life here in Budapest. He had a way easier life than he had in Jordan, but he had to make the decision for our sake, not for only his sake. And the thing that is, the things that went better that way, in my opinion, looking at our religion, Islam, it's so hard to teach your children in a foreign country about the religion, because you are surrounded here with everything that's haram in our religion. Haram means it shouldn't be allowed. Like, for example, eating pork is prohibited in Islam. Drinking, women showing their body, like basically this kind of stuff that we are surrounded with here in the European countries is against the whole religion. And thinking back about those moments when our father made these decisions, the decision that we should move from Hungary to Jordan was a very hard decision to make, but basically the only right way to make the decision, the only right choice to have at that moment, because he chose the time that is basically the most impactful around in our lives. If I look back at 14 years old, I would start going to parties. I would start drinking with friends. I would start hooking up with girls. I would start like getting in this environment. And our father knew this. Knew that this is going to happen if we stayed here. And so he saved me from that whole environment, saved me from all the trouble to, like, that's it. He saved us. I can't tell you anything more about it. He saved us. That's it. And looking back, it's like I'm very grateful to him for that, because we have 3 little sisters. Right now, with my mindset, if you were going to stay here in Budapest and they grew up in this environment, like, I wouldn't approve of them as well to grow up in an environment like this when our religion is against all this. So yeah, that's it. I'm grateful to my father for making this hard decision in life.
Wow. Even though you've been through a lot of shitty things, as we can say it, in that moment was really hard for you. But as you talk about it now, you seem so much more accepted the fact that why everything happened. It made sense in your mind as well. It made sense in your mind as well. And what you just said about growing up here, it is not necessarily... And what you... We are back. We had to stop a little bit because the construction noise were getting out of control. So hopefully they won't bother for the rest of the process. If they do, please forgive us. We're trying our best to improve, but we cannot really deal with that situation right now. But it sounds like they are finished, hopefully. So, where did we pick up? The last thing that we talked about. Oh yeah. The thing that our father went through and made this decision, it looks like they haven't finished. Let's continue. Yeah, let's try. So what our father went through when he made this decision, it really made his choice easier. Even though it was a really hard choice to do, but it led to an easier outcome of life, which he was envisioning at the moment. For us to grow up in a religious country, for him to feel better as well when he don't see the things that is happening behind his back. So I have my last question to you to wrap up this conversation. If somebody from the audience is watching this conversation and going through a big life transition in his phase right now, what would you recommend to them?
This is an easy one. Be open about every change, because if something changes in your life, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Changes, most of the time, comes in a good way, not in a bad way. If you realize that, it's going to be way easier to accept everything. That's it.
I love it. Super simple, straight to the fact. It is really a life changer. If you just accept the fact and going by the thing that, okay, I'm open about it, and whatever happens by it, it's by itself the mindset shift that you had is going to make the whole outcome a different situation. So thank you for this conversation. I really feel like I learned a lot, even though we had the same journey by this life changing. We've been through the same situation, but it feels like a way completely different story, the way we express it, the way we go about it. So I feel like I learned a lot as well today, and looking forward for the next conversation. Thank you, brother.